Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. It only takes a spark of uncertainty to start a bank run. And guess what fixes this, guys? Obviously, cryptocurrency. This video was taken from a guy going into his bank, namely Bank of America. And he had some problems with his bank balance. I just want to show you guys this clip. Listen to this.
So I'm a Bank of America and everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money over $1,300 and they're telling me to call customer service. And they keep hanging up on people. This another person here is also missing money. So we're trying to see what's going on. Money's missing today and we need our money. And they're already telling us to call customer service. And customer service ain't doing nothing about it. So just a heads up, if anybody's experiencing this, please let us know because this is not right. I'm missing $1,400 from my account. And they're telling me that there's no way they can help us. This guy's missing money too. This other person is missing money too. And you missing money too? There you go. So this is not something that's just one person. This is everybody's happening to them. And this is crazy. This is very crazy. Yes, Bank of America decided to take people's money without their consent. And we're asking what's going on and they're giving us a runaround. Everybody for the same thing, man. Same.
So everybody, or rather these people here waiting in line at the bank seem to be missing money from their account. The gentleman there, you could hear he was, I think he was down $1,400. And so this run on the banks concept, you know, we hear about this concept and we think cyber pandemic, internet's going down, electricity grid possibly going down, which means the banks are going down, right? Establishing the setting for a great financial reset. I was just thinking about this yesterday, and I think it's probably very prudent for all of us to be doing this. Take a snapshot of your bank balances weekly, if not daily, just in case. I mean, depending on how many transactions go through your bank account every day, take a snapshot of your balance so that at the end of the day, if anything were to happen, you can go back to your bank and say, hey, look, this is what, this was the amount of money that was in my account before all this happened, and so I want that money retrieved. This is weird stuff that's going on right now, guys. I never thought, when I started this channel, I never thought I'd be talking about all this other stuff that kind of goes along with a new financial reset, a great reset, a new financial system. Obviously, Ripple and XRP are part of this. Brad Garlinghouse actually gave some good interviews at Davos yesterday. We're going to get into some of the things that he said. First, I'm just going to take a look at the crypto market real quickly here, guys. We got Bitcoin here on the daily, still trading at about $20,700, and we haven't really seen too much movement for the king crypto. If I throw it on the hourly, you guys can see basically more sideways movement. We did see a bit of a dip down here to about 20,003. Now we're up to about 20,007. The high that we saw was about 21,006. So not too much movement. We are finding a level of support on the macro time frame. It's looking like that level right in and around here. We saw that dip back on Saturday, the 14th of January. So it came back down, wicked down here, but still kind of maintaining this level. We're not seeing too much action for Bitcoin as of late. The previous week, though, we did see a significant rise for Bitcoin. And to be honest with you guys, we might see more of this moving forward. I just zoomed out on the Bitcoin chart just to give you guys a sense of what we saw back in 2020 when Bitcoin did dip. During that initial period of the beer flu lockdown, we did originally see that dip. We saw Bitcoin springboard back up and then come back into this level of resistance that we saw pre-lockdown, similar to what we are seeing now, right? The FTX story coming back into this level of resistance since then. But if I go back here, let me just show you guys. If I go back here, look at how long it actually took to get out of this. I mean, we really did see Bitcoin trending sideways for a good 80, 81, 82 days, give or take, before we really kind of popped out of that. And even then, we did come back down before we really broke out. So, we really started breaking out in and around here. That took about 160 days. So, I mean, we could still be in for more sideways movement. I mean, sideways is better than downward pressure. Gives us some time to accumulate more coins. XRP trading at 38.5 right now. So XRP trading, in and around the same way, the same kind of pattern. Nothing really extraordinary, just trading sideways, and has been since the 13th, Friday, January 13th. So again, not too much movement on the XRP chart. And when I read this, I thought this statistic was pretty shocking. This coming from Michael Branch here. 64% of North American investors spend less than 2 hours or don't do any research at all before making a crypto investment. Now, should I really be shocked? I mean, a lot of the crypto retail traders up until now have just been throwing money at, whatever coin they think is going to, the crypto casino, basically. Whatever coin they think is going to move next. not really caring, treating it like gambling. So, they're saying here it's becoming more vital for investors to have a solid understanding of the crypto space to navigate safely and securely as it continues to expand. When discussing the cryptocurrency investing process, the term crypto literacy refers to an investor's level of familiarity with and understanding of the digital assets environment. And I know you guys, if you've watched at least 6 or 7 of my videos, you've already done more than 2 hours worth of research equivalent, into XRP. And that is not even considering probably all the other content that you're consuming with regards to this particular cryptocurrency. In particular, though, 64% of North American investors, so not just Americans, but Canadians and I guess Mexicans as well, spend less than about 2 hours or don't do any research at all before making a crypto investment. This is according to Bybit and Toluna's Crypto Investment Literacy Report that was published just the other day on January the 16th. Before deciding how to spend money on investments, one must do one's own research and analysis. And guys, that's why I'm here. I'm trying to research this stuff for you guys, letting you guys know what I'm invested in, also giving you guys a bit of market insight when I'm getting into my investments. So I'm being fully transparent on when I'm getting into these investments. Like, for example, it felt like the other day, but I guess it's been a while now, when I did put money into HBAR, I did let you guys know that I cost averaged in at about 4.1. So it was roughly in and around, where was it? It was around in and around here, I believe, that I bought that position. And it did go down a bit before we started seeing some movement to the upside. Nevertheless, I have already made, as of the time of this recording, 38% on that investment. I'm still holding that, but that is going to be a long hold. So just one example of, giving you some insight on what I'm doing. Nevertheless, a lot of people are not paying attention, just treating it as a crypto casino, which I guess I'm not terribly surprised. There are big moves happening, though, within cryptocurrency, and I think this is going to catch a lot of people off guard if they have not done their research and if they are only focusing on the spec. This for one, all right? Brad Garlinghouse from Davos, over half the transaction volume right now runs through XRP, talking about the latest developments from Ripple Labs and the XRP ledger.
About that is the SEC sued us around the question of is XRP a security at the end of 2020. And I'll admit, the beginning of 2021 was a stressful, Q1 was a stressful quarter for sure, because you now have a lawsuit in the largest economy in the world, and you didn't know how your existing customers would react, let alone new customers. And what we have seen since then, it particularly non-US, well over 95% of the customers we've signed in the last 2 years are non-US. Our activity is growing more and more outside the United States, and it's because you have this confusion in the United States. So we're now processing billions of dollars of transactions every quarter. And well over half of our total transaction volume, because we do have a fiat and XRP enabled product called on-demand liquidity. Over half of all of our transactions go through XRP now. That has grown. And so again, we're continuing to sign more contracts, more customers, and then the contracts and customers we have grown, partly because we opened more corridors, more currency pairs. And so there's kind of a nice series of building a positive virtuous cycle that helps grow the business.
So did you hear that, guys? About half or just over half of their transactions, Ripple transactions that they're processing, are now going through XRP. And that's pretty impressive. But guys, that's just the beginning. Still half, 50% or just under 50%, are still going through the traditional system using Ripple Labs technology, but it's still not through ODL, so not through on-demand liquidity, not sourcing XRP for those particular transactions. And that is only because there is no regulatory clarity. So, we're still waiting on that piece before we start seeing larger volumes, 70, 80, 90, 100% of Ripple's transactions finally going through XRP. And that's going to be, a process, obviously. As we get more clarity from different countries, we are going to continue to see XRP transactions grow. Now, Linda P. Jones here posted this, another clip from the same interview, guys. And it's a 6.5-minute clip. I'm not going to play the full thing, but I will link this in the description for those of you guys who want to watch it. Brad said that they leased over 10 million XRP to FTX. So talking about FTX in that story, I don't remember Brad Garlinghouse or Ripple saying they leased XRP to anyone before. And so, that is an interesting question. What does he mean by that? Listen to this.
We're now processing billions of dollars of transactions every quarter. And well over half of our total transaction volume, because we do have a fiat and XRP-enabled product called on-demand liquidity. Over half of all of our transactions go through XRP now. That has grown. And so, we did have some exposure to FTX. Yeah. I think we publicly shared before there's around just over $10 million of XRP we had leased to FTX that they used for various things on FTX. What we get back from that, I have no idea. The alleged fraud. We'll see how the bankruptcy stuff plays out. And as I said, regardless of that, again, some companies were way overexposed and I think found themselves in a very stressful situation because they had too much exposure, too much debt, too many of those types of things. And for us, that I think represented about 1% of liquid assets. So, I would rather not lose that money. And I'm hopeful that through the bankruptcy process, we get some or all of it back. But it's not too consequential to the business.
So only 1% of liquid assets, right? So $10 million times 100, $1 billion is what Ripple is saying they have liquid. And, so if they lose 1%, $10 million worth of XRP, well, so be it. Interesting, though, that they decided to lease this to FTX. And, as per Linda P. Jones here asking, what is this leasing? Digital Perspectives here saying they do have a leasing or listing program, but I wasn't aware that FTX was participating. Jungle Inc. also chiming in. I think they do market makers to ensure orderly trade and liquidity. And this is exactly what I think it was too. Because they were an exchange, they need to be able to make markets. Obviously, Ripple has, a vested interest in XRP being liquid on all kinds of exchanges for many different reasons. And since FTX was one of the bigger ones, we can see why they leased them the XRP at a price at the time, and then they'd have to pay them back later at whatever the rate would have been. So this does make sense, especially for a company like Ripple to lend to an exchange specifically. I also wanted to make note of this tweet, guys, from Crypto Eddie here on Twitter. Read the tweet, wondering where Hester Peirce has been. She spoke with Kudlow just after the FTX lawsuit was launched. Nothing nice to say about the SEC in this next clip. So she's pretty critical, guys, I gotta say. And Crypto Eddie even says it here, which is basically voicing her low opinion about Gary Gensler. If you look behind the veil, you may see more. Listen to this.
Well, I really can't say more than, the suit speaks for itself. If you lie to investors, you can face a lawsuit from us. But I think your broader point about crypto regulation is a really good one, right? This is a moment for us to sit down and think about what we've done wrong on crypto regulation. You can't solve the problems by just bringing one-off enforcement actions. You have to think about a framework within which you can regulate crypto properly. And we have to remember that bad things happen at centralized intermediaries. That's the story of traditional finance, and that's true if you import that into the crypto world as well. The crypto world is actually about decentralization.
Well, I don't want to be rude or anything like that, but Hester, I don't think the SEC knows much, if anything, about crypto. But I want to add to that, this is just me talking, I don't think the SEC knows much about climate or the environment. It's not the Securities and Environment Commission, it's the Securities and Exchange Commission. And as you just gave a speech, where did you give this speech? Was it AI that I was reading?
It was AEI.
In James Freeman's column. These new climate regulations would basically tell companies how to run. And there's no law that has ever passed on that point.
Yeah, we're the Securities and Everything Commission now, and I think that the point is that we're couching this as a disclosure rule, telling companies what they have to disclose. But if you look behind the veil and you look at what we're actually doing, we're getting into the business of companies and telling them how they have to think about business, how they have to think about their supply chain, how they have to run themselves. And that's obviously problematic because, as you said, we're not the experts here. We aren't an environmental regulator, and we certainly don't know how to run a business. Government regulators aren't meant to do that.
The Securities and Everything Commission, dabbling in too many things, and that's Hester Peirce's opinion. That's not even just my personal opinion or the interviewer's opinion. So the SEC, she sees it, at least this is what it sounds like, as a bit of a scattered entity, not really focusing on what they're supposed to be focusing on or historically had been focusing on. but more trying to, grab more. And, we have seen this trajectory, we have seen this progression over time since Gary Gensler took office. This idea that all cryptocurrency is going to fall under SEC jurisdiction, the idea that they're not going to share a jurisdiction with the CFTC, for example, although that could change. And the fact that they're pushing climate regulations on businesses. Now, that is a separate thing. Even just aside from cryptocurrency, why are they getting into the moral high ground business of telling companies what they should and should be doing with regards to the environment? That in itself puts up a red flag to me, because that is not what that entity is meant to do. Anyway, an interesting some interesting insight here from Hester Peirce, a commissioner at the SEC, kind of taking us behind the veil, as Crypto Eddie puts it. If you look behind the veil, you will see that something stinks. And I think, us in the XRP community, we've already been on to them from day one. James K. Filan bringing this up. Okay, the latest update here with regards to the Ripple SEC case. Ripple opposes the motion by an investment banker declarant, which seeks to shield from public view his name, position, and employer because he voluntarily submitted the declaration in support of the SEC's motion judgment. So this guy put in a motion in support of the judgment of the SEC. He is an investment banker declarant, but he doesn't want his name revealed. And I think Wheezy's hit the nail on the head here. He who does things in secret always has something to hide. Fred Rispoli here also pointing out, I don't know the specifics of the whistleblower rule for SEC, but when this first surfaced, I immediately thought investment banker declarant was trying to get some money out of this thing. Wonder if the employer authorized the voluntary declaration. XRP Sardine asking just more delay tactics. I mean, it could be another delay tactic orchestrated by the SEC. And Tipsy Tiger saying, dirty trickery. This dude voluntarily submits a declaration in support of the SEC. And then it looks like both he and the SEC thought they could hide behind subpoenaing him for further information, thus keeping his identification concealed. So there you go. I mean, it does sound a little contrived, a little orchestrated here, but we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, this is an ongoing story. The Ripple SEC case hopefully coming to a close soon. Brad Garlinghouse even made a comment on the Ripple SEC case and the Hinman emails specifically at Davos. Take a listen to this.
Well, two things. One, something called regulation through enforcement is never a particularly efficient way to regulate, right? If you want to regulate, do the work, write the rules, codify the rules. And when a company comes to you and says, hey, help me understand the rules, I want to make sure we're following the rules, help them understand the rules. I met personally with the SEC 3 times. Not once in those meetings did the SEC ever say to me, hey, and by the way, we're totally transparent about what we're doing. Not once did the SEC say, hey, we think XRP might be a security. So then for the later on to go back and say, hey, the whole time we thought XRP was a security, we just didn't tell you. That doesn't feel like a genuine partnership between public sector and private sector. Moreover, and some of this stuff I'll be more vague about because some of this stuff, it hasn't been public yet. But there's something called the Hinman email. Bill Hinman, the director of corporate finance at the SEC, gave a speech in June 2018 about how ETH had been a security, but had magically become not a security. And there's some emails associated with that the judge turned over 6 times. We finally did get those emails. And I think when those come to light, I think you will see more kind of like, how is it possible the SEC decided to bring a case against Ripple, given what they were saying within their own walls? Yeah.
So Brad even still optimistic that we could see the Hinman emails and, very skeptical, though, that the judge will rule favorably for the SEC. So, very good for Ripple, very good for XRP holders. He did even post from Davos. My take on Davos 23, I honestly think it's healthy seeing a change in how crypto showed up this year. Folks are focusing on utility and how these technologies solve real-world problems. The only way the industry will move forward. Great to catch up with Arjun Karpal, who is the interviewer that we saw in that last clip, and CNBC Jew, who is Jumana Nassar I'm going to butcher that, Burshech. So another interview here with Brad Garlinghouse, actually giving his opinion on settlement. And I know this has gotten the XRP community excited today. When I woke up on Twitter, I was seeing this clip all over the place. Optimistic this will certainly be resolved in 2023. But will it? And I'll explain why in a second.
And let's talk about those regulators in the US, the SEC, Brad. Let's get a check-in on what's going on with that lawsuit with the SEC and Ripple. Are you nearing an end potentially? Are you planning to settle with the SEC?
Well, we have always said that we would love to settle, but it requires one very, very, very important thing, and that is that on a go-forward basis, it's clear that XRP is not a security. The SEC and Gary Gensler has very outwardly said he views almost all crypto as a security, and so that leaves very little space in a Venn diagram for settlement. The case is now fully briefed in front of the judge, and judges take however long the judges will take. We're optimistic that this will certainly be resolved in 2023 and maybe the first half. So we'll see how it plays out from here. But I feel very good about where we are relative to the law and the facts.
So are you going to wait for the judge to come out with a decision on this one?
I'm very optimistic, and I think absent some significant change in posture from the SEC, I can't imagine that we won't have resolution from the judge. I also will point out, and I've certainly something I've heard here in Davos repeatedly, is how important this is, not just to how Ripple it goes forward, but also really the whole crypto industry in the United States. And I keep reminding people that outside the United States, crypto is still thriving, Ripple is still thriving, and we should make sure we're continuing to engage non-U.S. regulators as well.
I mean, it's also difficult to say it's thriving when so many people have lost a lot of money speculating. And the key word here is speculating on the price of Bitcoin and various other cryptocurrencies. I remember back at the peak, there was a lot of talk about institutions getting involved. Given what we've seen, given the price action, given the drawdowns, given the numerous amounts of fraud cases that have gone on in the space, doesn't it feel like the hurdle is extremely high, if not impossible now, to get institutions involved? If you were sitting on a board of a pension fund, how could you justify to them that you're going to get involved in cryptocurrencies?
Well, I think it depends upon how we're defining institutional involvement. When I think about institutional involvement with Ripple, I'm thinking about financial institutions, banks, payment providers who are using our technologies to solve a cross-border payments problem. They've continued to engage, we've continued to grow, and so I feel good about that. But look, I think anytime you have this kind of change, people take a moment. I also think, and I pointed out in one of the sessions I was in at Davos here yesterday, is we talk about, obviously, crypto is down 65%. Tesla is down 65%. Facebook is down about 65%. No one's saying, hey, we shouldn't invest in Tesla or Facebook. So I think we have to, clearly, I would much rather not have the volatility we've seen in crypto in 2022. But I think we also have to look at that in concert of other kind of growth investment areas. And again, to your point, most of crypto has been speculation. If it's just speculation, I don't think that's long-term sustainable. We need to focus on utility and make sure we're solving problems for customers.
So a few great points from that clip. We can't focus on the speculation. We have to focus on the real world utility. And, it's sounding as though, from Brad Garlinghouse just talking about this, it sounds as though that is going to change in 2023 with this regulatory clarity. So, we've got the spec. That is because there's no regulatory clarity. It's good on the one hand because, the markets are moving up and down based on speculators. But the real value that some of these cryptocurrencies hold, that is going to be unleashed with the real world utility. And if the spec market goes to zero, if 99% of the cryptocurrencies, as Brad has said in the past, go to zero, a lot of that money is going to flow to the cryptocurrencies that do solve problems, that do provide real world value. But to the point of the lawsuit and the settlement, first half of 2023, well, that sounds pretty good. We've also had, some predictions that it could be March of 2023. John Deaton, though, pointing this out, I know when I predicted no settlement before a Judge Torres decision, some people disagreed. In Brad Garlinghouse's words, we can't imagine, absent a significant change in the SEC's posture towards settlement, not receiving a ruling from Judge Torres.
I'm very optimistic, and I think absent some significant change in posture from the SEC, I can't imagine that we won't have resolution from the judge.
Let me continue with John Deaton's tweet. He says, I'm surprised by how many people have tweeted out this video claiming Garlinghouse indicated the case will settle in the first half of the year. And I mean, that is what I thought he said too. He literally says the opposite though. He says, absent some major change at the SEC, he doesn't see how this case doesn't go to a decision. Tim down here saying how all Ripple wants is one thing, XRP not to be a security moving forward. Not sure why the SEC and Gary Gensler won't give them that in exchange for a hefty fine. It does make no sense at all. If you guys didn't catch the video I did yesterday, there could be another type of resolution that would be a compromise, making both parties content. And if you guys didn't catch that video, I will link it up here in the top right-hand corner. Crypto Investment Group saying, good call, John Deaton. It appears that it is exactly how the case is playing out. You've been correct on many predictions regarding the case. Now, if you could just let us know what the price of XRP will be once the case is over, Well, wouldn't that be great? So John Deaton saying Brad Garlinghouse saying the opposite. Nevertheless, he does feel optimistic that we will see clarity in 2023, and that's just going to be great for all of us. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.